Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, pick guardian.
Jared Brandon Wound, pickups.
Hey, this is me, Todd Novak. We are thrilled that you are along for the ride of the Guitar Knobs podcast. We are excited to be here, as always. We love doing this. We hope you love listening. And, Jared, you want to tell the fine people out there what our show's about? In case this is the first time they've ever heard it, which is that's super cool.
We interview the boutique builders of the industry, and we find out, how they got started and where they're headed, their backstory. We do many different people. We do pedal guys, a lot of pedal people.
Amps?
We do amps and
Guitars.
Speakers, and we do 101 shows as well.
101s, educational
It's a
shows.
really good time.
We got one coming up, too.
We do?
A little bit, yeah.
I cannot wait.
Yes. We also might have someone in the studio today. Who are you in the studio right now?
I'm Al from Occult Effects.
Al from Occult Effects. Al Benitez.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I met him at the guitar show, and
He's right here. You can tell him that.
Yeah, we met at the guitar show.
The Ohio Guitar Show.
That's right. And we had it, and he was enthusiastic about wanting to be on the show.
He's right here.
Yeah.
I was.
You can say, and you were enthusiastic.
How this works.
Jared's talking in the fourth person.
I am always getting on here.
Yeah, well, that's what we do here.
Yeah. All right.
That's the
Anyway.
other thing we do.
Well, that's where I met him.
Yeah, and I think I met him as well.
Yeah, we met there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun. It's a happy little Ohio family.
He's from Ohio. He's actually really close by, and we've been in contact with him. He actually makes some pedals, brought us a big box of them. I think I mentioned that on a show
Yes.
one or two back. And so we've had a lot of fun playing around with them, and we're going to talk all about that in a little bit.
But first,
Yes, we have a couple of announcements. We first want to thank Rode for hooking us up with some mighty fine gear here. We've got Tony's favorite thing,
the articulating arm.
the articulating arms of the Rode Procaster microphones. And we've got the deliciously lovely Rodecaster Pro unit in front of us that
It is delicious.
recording our voices on individual tracks. And it's a really great...
And we've got, I see 3 empty tracks there.
Well, kind of. So it does 4 mic tracks.
Okay.
It does a USB track.
Okay.
It does you can plug your phone into it. So if you have a call coming in from your phone via the TRL jack or, the
TRS.
TRS, something like that.
It's the thing.
Jack, you can plug the phone into it. And it's got a Bluetooth. So I can just do my phone Bluetooth right to this. And
Jeez.
it works out great.
And it's got some great sound effects built in, too.
It does, but we're not going to hear him because that's
He's
not our bag of
against the
chips.
sound effects here.
Yeah. What did the sound effect ever do to you?
I know.
Nothing.
They're trapped in prison.
Yes, sound prison.
They're waiting. They're
So anyways,
waiting for just the
this
right
is a great
moment.
unit if you're considering starting a podcast on your own, or if honestly, this is even great. I think for actual recording, I don't see why you couldn't have them 4 mics in a room and record. your
Yeah,
band,
it's
too.
got like a little thingy in there that you can record to,
It's
right?
got a thingy.
the whole thing.
There's like
It's got
a cassette
SD.
inside.
Yes, it's
cassette.
got an 8-track inside. Everything records to SD card, a micro SD, which is really handy. So you don't even have to plug it into a computer.
Wow.
Like legitimately.
It is cool. I mean,
It's
and
really
as
small.
we have said before, it is a game changer
It is
for
a
the
game
podcast
changer. So thank you
industry.
to Rode for hooking us up with that.
Thanks, Rode.
I also have a little bit of news that I wanted to share. One of our longtime supporters and listeners, Liam Martin, sent us a note. He says, I want to just read it because this is the kind of stuff that it really does mean a lot to us. Man, these are things that when we get these kind of notes, we're just I had no idea this stuff would start happening.
We practically well up in tears.
Make us cry.
Hey, Knobs, just wanted to let you guys know you inspired another guy to stop thinking and start doing. Built some guitars back in the 90s and have been wanting to do more for ages. After listening to you guys for a couple of years and seeing the other guy with the alloy bass, So that was he.
Oh,
posted-
the
guy from
aluminum
Detroit.
thing.
Yeah,
Yep.
the aluminum base.
That dude's sick,
yeah,
man.
Yeah,
That's
he
awesome.
works at Detroit Bikes.
Yep.
He says, I decided to do this. Just completed my interpretation of a Tele guitar. Mahogany body, Queensland maple neck, Mulga fretboard, and Tasmanian Blackwood headstock veneer. Whew. That's a lot of words I don't know.
Yeah.
I started an Instagram occult. Hey, who knows? Maybe he'll achieve occult status. I started up an Instagram account at Bill Go La Guitars. So it's BILGOLA Guitars. If anyone wants to see what I'm doing, he did post it on our Facebook page. And
I did.
Got a lot of.
I liked it.
Yeah, got a lot of action. If anyone wants to see what I'm doing, they can go there. The next one will be a Billy Bow inspired guitar for my first customer. Hoping to sell some to friends to get started, mostly just for material cost until I get more experience. Thanks, guys. Keep doing what you do. I don't know how it gets better than
That's
that.
perfect. That's
amazing.
what it's all about.
We didn't intend it for that. So it's just
I intended it to
bonus.
do
You've
that.
intended that the whole time.
I intended that
Oh,
all
you are
along.
a genius, my friend.
Yeah, I am.
So yeah, big thanks to Liam for sharing that. And if you have a similar story, please share that with us and
And then post it on that Facebook
post
thing.
it post on our Facebook group. Or-
Because it's really interesting. I mean, we can talk about it, but when you see the photos and
Absolutely.
things, it's really cool.
yeah, agreed. Jared,
Okay, so Summer NAMM is coming up.
Yes.
And Tony Baloney and I will be there. And
That's right.
Yeah, we're going to show some pickups. And,
Watch out, Nashville. We're coming. We're coming
and,
to get you.
come talk to us, and we'll talk guitar knob stuff. And I'm sure there's going to be tons of guests there as well that we've had in the past. So
Yeah.
it would be great to see you.
Yeah.
absolutely.
What's your booth number?
I believe it's 1255.
We'll be right by the
1255.
Fender business.
Yeah.
Is it 1255?
I think it is 1255.
You just look it up when you get there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll announce it again.
Yep.
Just look for the tall guy towering over the booths.
That's
Correct,
right.
Mundo.
That's right.
We also have a patron 4 on the floor I wanted to share.
Oh, cool. We love those.
So this is from Tim Novak. Tim says he's been listening for a long time and sharing, but he says, I'm an electrical engineering major at Western Michigan University, home of the Maestro fuzz tone and origin of the Rat. Well, hell, that should be on, like, as you're driving into town, it should say that. It should. This show has inspired me to dive headfirst into the DIY guitar community. When I am not studying or working, I am breadboarding effects and experimenting with modifications. Thank you so much for exposing so many people to those that create music, making machines from nothing. I am honored to finally join the rank of executive producer and give this podcast the support it deserves. That is true.
Excellent.
He has joined on
And there's
as
going to be a
executive
special
producer.
thing at the end
Gonna
of
have
this
his name read
podcast.
on the thing.
Don't give it away. You gave it away.
Man, spoiled everything. All right, so his 4 on the floor. The Dark Glass Vintage Ultra V1 says, I am a bass player, and this preamp gives me limitless tone options with a 4-band EQ. The drive section is amazing. It is easy to dial in a vintage tube drive or an all-out modern distortion. He also chooses the homemade CMOS Fuzz Overdrive. This is a pedal I completed a couple of weeks ago, and it sounds killer! ! It sounds. It is a combination of the 22.7 and the double D from runoffgroove.com with an added blend control because, well, bass. This pedal replaced my bass Big Muff. That's a hard thing for me to say. I don't know why. It replaced my bass Big Muff and produces a powerful, thick overdrive.
Did it have solderless connections?
I'm not going to say that. The number 3. Well. The Boss Metal Zone. What a more infamous pedal than this. But in all seriousness, this pedal works great as a combination EQ and booster. I use it to add extra girth or twang to sound when the song calls for it. Though it's one of my favorites, it's probably my neighbor's most hated. True.
I can understand that. This is cool because to get this from a bass player's perspective, because not all guitar pedals work or play nicely with basses.
No.
And in fact, we'll be talking about one here shortly.
Yes.
That plays well. But it's cool to get a bass player's perspective.
Correctamundo.
Number 4.
4 is the Wampler, the Doctor Lo-Fi Delay. I haven't had much experiences with delay or reverb, but this pedal sounds killer to me. You can go from a clean digital delay to a wicked modulated mess. The tap tempo and subdivision switching made that much better. If you get it, you got it. If you don't worry about it. All right. So, hey, thanks, Tim, for sending that and for joining the ranks of the executive producer Patreon status.
Definitely.
We greatly appreciate your support, my friend.
And if you're out there and you have a 4 on the floor that you'd like to share, send it to Todd.
Yeah. And what's more, he has been a $5 level supporter and boosted. So you can do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sky's the limit.
Just saying.
Yep.
And that also means like, for some reason, I think that's extra meaning because there's like, he could have been just like, yeah, I'm going to keep doing this. But he's like, nope, I like this that much. You know, that's pretty cool.
That's beautiful.
Okay, gentlemen. What are we doing in the music world this week? Let's hear from Al. He's been sitting here mighty quiet. He's been through a whole
Is he still
beer.
here?
Just, he's like, well, I guess I'll just have one of these while you guys ramble on. What's going on in your music world this week, Al?
So lately, I've kind of been into weird distortion pedals. Maybe most people wouldn't want to play.
Give us an example.
Well, so I ordered these on Reverb recently. The first one was 2 of them. The first one is the the Boss HM3.
Oh yeah.
Hyper metal, not the famous one
It's even more metal than.
because it's hyper.
Yeah, it must be.
What do you get with hyper metal?
Extra metal.
Extra. So this thing actually sounds pretty cool. It's very usable, which I like a lot. And I was surprised by that. And it's kind of a sleeper pedal. Like I got it for under $100.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. The other one is the Boss XT2 X Torsion, like the letter X Torsion.
Right.
And it's awful. It's so bad.
Okay.
Hey, you can't hit a home run every time now,
I know,
even
but-
if it's Boss.
And it just, the controls are like contour and punch. So they're kind of vague, and then of course volume and distortion.
What does the punch do? Is that kind of like a
basically
level?
It sounds like you it's like a really crazy mids control or something. It's
okay.
Interesting.
It sounds like you're if you turn it up, it sounds like you're underwater or something.
Right.
Oh, wow.
It's really, really, really weird. But I enjoy these pedals for those
For the
reasons.
weirdness.
Yeah.
Well, what do you if you had to pick one all-time distortion pedal, what would you pick?
Well, he's going to do his 4 on
Well,
the
I
floor.
know. We're talking about distortion pedals.
Is that one on your 4 on the floor?
No, these are definitely not.
No, but he said pick your number 1 distortion.
Dude, that's so hard.
Yeah,
I don't know. There would be at least 10 of them. I don't know. And I've never
I have one.
I can't do it.
Your least favorite. How
Okay,
about
least
that?
favorite.
My least-
Sounds like the extortion.
Yeah, it's
might
the
be-
extortion. That's
Okay, gotcha.
that's the
All right.
Cleared. All right. Cool. So that's fun. That's kind of fun. Tony Baloney, what's up with you, buddy?
Oh, yeah. So I got a friend of mine built a 59 Les Paul Burst copy for me, replica. And I picked it up this week. I put a pair of Jared's PAF style pickups in, and the pickups sound
Those would be Brandon wound.
Brandon wound pickups. And they do sound this. I mean, Jared's made other pickups for me, but this set in this guitar just sound right. I mean,
That's cool.
I'm very happy with that. Now, I did have to take the guitar over to my other friend Sean to do some final cleanup work, some fret work, and things like that.
Right.
But this guitar, this is pretty nice, and it doesn't have a lot of flame on the top, which I actually prefer. And it's got kind of that really,
It's like a lemon honey, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, it's like it goes to like greenish gray. I mean, it's what a lot of them do that fade out. Because the red, the reason
Right.
a lot of them fade is the red aniline dye that they used would sunlight, ultraviolet light would actually faded out. So when you see a lot of the 58, 59, and even 60 Les Paul standards, most of them don't have much red around the outside, if any. And this one, it just looks really cool. It's a nice lightweight.
So beware bright red.
If you see a bright red one, that means that was sitting under someone's bed, probably.
Or it's fake.
Or, well, no, I mean, there's people that like.
I'm just saying.
I mean, we've
is.
talked
I didn't
about
say
those.
one or the other. I said
those-
or is.
They, some people like that clown burst, as
Yeah.
we call it. With a bright
That's what
red
we
around
call
the
Jared
outside.
when behind his back.
Cloud burst.
Anyways,
But
go on.
anyhow, so Sean's going to be working on that over the next couple of weeks, and I think it's going to turn into a really nice guitar. I'm pretty happy.
Cool.
I would like to add on Sean's behalf that, any guitar that I've ever given him to work on or set up or just kind of tweak around, I'm always 100% happy. I mean, that dude is great at what he
So
does.
now that you've basically pimped him out, what is his full name? And
Oh, Sean
all that
Bowers
stuff?
at the Guitar Repair Company.
Okay, and
Here
that's-
in
that's
Columbus.
So
he's good.
if you're anywhere not in Columbus, you're probably out of luck.
He's
But-
got a
we could
bit of a wait time because he's
Yeah.
good at what he
Yeah.
does.
But he just, in fact, he just celebrated his first year anniversary.
That's right.
Of opening a shop. And he's doing really well. And he's always done really good work for me.
Yep.
So
All right.
thanks, Sean.
You bet. Okay. Always happy to help out those in the industry. Go ahead, Jared.
So I bought more gear, and what I did was I bought another pedal board, and the brand is Temple because that's the brand that I already have, and that way I can mix match from different boards or whatever because they'll all have the same Temple attachments on the bottom of the pedal.
The clampety clamps.
That's right. So, and to power it, I got what I already have, which is the True Tone One Spot CS12, which
Yep.
is a fantastic unit.
Awesome.
Yummy.
And that's what's going on with me, man. I'm just gonna get my two boards together and
So you have the same power supply for both boards, or
Two separate power supplies.
two separate power supplies, but they're the same thing because they're just really good units.
excellent?
Yeah. Well, I received in the mail.
Oh, my
the,
goodness.
Retro Mechanical Labs 432K
Dude.
distortion box, which looks like it was pried out of a German U-boat.
Or a layer.
I love it. I love the
It's
VU meter
Secret-
on that.
It's a secret
works.
layer
Yeah?
thing.
Yeah. This is really an impressive unit. I mean, just from a collectability and if you love pedals, it's like this is one of those brands that it's like it's definitely up there on the want list if you don't already have one. Just,
but you don't
just
even
for the
like pedals.
craftsmanships. Hang on. And there are 8 knobs, 2 switches, and a VU meter. I mean, it's great. The 432K distortion box is unique in that it's classified as a hybrid transistor/diode ladder filter with distortion.
Wow.
And
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys sort that out when you go to the website and check this out because there's a small booklet that comes with it, which is really interesting. And these are actually it's nice because you can blend your clean in. So a lot of distortions, you have your level up and your level down, which just basically means more distorted,
The effects
a louder distorted, or a quieter distorted. But the amount of distortion never really gets blended or mixed. It's just on.
Right.
So this is a really unique thing. There is one dial that is clean. So there's a distortion knob, a filter knob, which is really fun, a resonance knob, a clean knob, a transistor, and an op amp, and then a feedback knob. All these, and this is just for distortion. So, and a low cut, and you can activate diodes in it. It's crazy pants.
It's a pretty good sized box, too.
It's a big box. No joke. It's sort of one of those Memory Man size box, but it's vertical.
Does the VU meter light up?
It doesn't light up, but it definitely works. I'm going to pass this over to you guys.
It kind of reminds me of like a little control module that you'd find on an old military vehicle. It's pretty cool looking.
Yeah, it definitely looks military.
Well, I think that VU
it's
meter is
incredible.
definitely military.
This manual is awesome too. by
yeah,
the
it's
way.
a really helpful really helpful kit. So anyways,
Oh, 18 volts too.
yeah, that was the only trick. So I went to go plug it in. I was like, oh, wait a minute. And so I had to upend my normal pedal board where I have my True Tone CS6,
Yes.
which has an optional 18 or 9, and I had to switch it to 18 and then run the power through that.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, really, really cool. So if you're not familiar with Retro Mechanical Labs, go check them out because, man, they make some cool stuff. And they'll be guests on the show soon. So that's also a big
That's
bonus.
even better.
1, 2, 3, 4 on the floor. Okay, Al Benitez of Occult Effects. Why don't you give us your 4 on the floor?
I can't tell you guys how hard this was. This is next to impossible for me because it's always changing. But for the past year or so, this has kind of been where I'm at.
Okay.
Cool.
So first in the chain, I've got an Earthquaker Devices bellows.
Now, as someone who kind of like favors the overdrive world a little bit, I would, that's fair to say, yes?
Yes.
Okay. What is so special about the bellows overdrive for you?
Well, first of all, anything that Earthquaker does is so good. I think everyone can probably agree on that. But this thing is super simple. I don't like tons of knobs on my stuff, really. Mm-hmm. It's I get lost, and confused easily. Mm-hmm. So this only has volume and drive controls. Super simple. It sounds warm and has a great range in the drive control. And the way I use it is I just use it as like a light overdrive, just a little bit of breakup.
Like your first overdrive, like stack your overdrive? Okay.
Yeah, first in the chain, and then I'll use other distortions and stuff or fuzzes on top of it.
Right. And just out of curiosity, what kind of amp are you playing through?
I've got a Trainer YBA-1A.
Oh. Yes!
Yes.
All right. We've got some fans out there.
Yeah. It's so loud. It's so loud and super clean. It's a great pedal platform.
Is it a vintage one or is it a...
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it's a 74, say.
Didn't I try to buy one of those, Tony?
I've owned 2 of them and sold them both.
I did.
You may have one of mine.
I actually contacted you. I'm like, hey.
Oh, yeah, the Bassmaster.
Yeah, it's so good. I love that amp. I got it from a guy that lived in the middle of the woods in Massachusetts.
Scary.
Yeah.
That does sound very
It was I had to bring someone with me. It was like a Craig's. Yeah, it was like well, I thought I was going to be the sacrifice this time, but no, it was like a Craigslist find,
Oh my God.
And this dude lived out in the middle of nowhere. I used to live on the East Coast, so this guy was way out there in Massachusetts.
woods.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Hey, will you come with me to get this amp?" And it turned out he was actually a super nice guy.
Okay.
But yeah, I've had this amp for a while, and it's great.
Nice. Yeah, no, those are great amplifiers.
Yeah.
We've talked about trainers before.
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got that.
Next.
Now what? Number 2.
This is probably one of the pedal, so I'm listing these in order of
How you might use them?
on my pedal board. Yep.
Right.
Makes sense.
Right now, and for a while, it's been the Cadland Bread Sabra Cadabra. Yeah, this thing is great. It's supposed to be like a range master going into a Laney supergroup. So like kind of the Tony Iommi sort of sound, which Sabbath, come on.
Yeah.
Tony who?
Yeah.
Well, and to call it Sabracadabra, I mean.
Right, yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
I
It even
think-
has like the graphic on the front is the little witch
Cross
from
thing?
No, the witch lady or the woman on the cover of their first record.
Right.
Does it come with the little plastic things to put on your fingers?
Yeah, I need those. I might be able to play better. Basically has 2 kind of filter and tone controls that allow you to really shape the sound of of the pedal. Lots and lots of gain, which, I like.
Who doesn't like gain?
Sure.
Who does not like gain?
But I kind of use it, subtly, not subtly because this thing doesn't do subtle, but I use it at like the minimum amount of gain possible.
That's the
totally
sweet
enough
spot.
for me. Yeah. Especially with the bellows going into it.
Well, yeah.
So Number 3 is another Earthquaker pedal. This time it's the Grand Orbiter Phase Shifter.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Yeah. This is for me like the one all be all phaser. It does everything that a phaser should do and way more. First of all, which is really cool, it has a phase vibrato switch on it. So you can select between classic or, phaser and vibrato. And then it also has a 3-way rate switch. One is kind of slower, one is faster, and then in the middle is it freezes the sweep. So you can dial in these crazy sort of in between tones. It's great for leads in that setting. It does so much stuff. It's incredibly versatile, and it's one of my favorites.
Resonance, depth, sweep, and rate.
Yes. So you can dial in some pretty classic phaser tones, like phase 90 kind of stuff or whatever, but you can also do all kinds of other really weird stuff with it. So
Okay.
Nice.
yeah.
Rad.
Number 4.
Number 4. And I've heard this one on the show at least a couple of times. It's the Caroline Guitar Company Kilobyte
Yep.
delay.
Yep.
That might be the all-time lead.
I think
Yeah.
you're right.
All-timer.
Most referenced.
It's so good. Everything about it's great. I don't know. I don't even know what else to say about it. I mean, everyone else is.
Well, how do you use it? Tell us about that.
I use it with the modulation kind of off. I like to keep it sort of crispy in that sense, but it also has that drive control. So I'll dial the drive up on the delay a little bit, just to get it some warmth,
Right.
And then it has that chaos momentary switch. You can just hold that down and let it go crazy and all over the place.
That's cool, man.
Nice.
One
That's
thing
cool. What inspired you to get that?
I was actually looking for a delay that I was just going to use it for the crazy self-oscillation stuff. And then I didn't really know much about this pedal at the time or the company or anything. This was years and years ago. The guy at the store was like, hey man, just try this. I was like, okay. And that was it, really. I was like, cool. One thing I accidentally found out about this was if you hold your foot down on the momentary switch, at least with my foot, it kind of would always touch one of the feedback knob as I was holding it down. You can hold that switch down and then twist your foot and change that's
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
change
get what you're
change it
saying.
in real time. Like
Now, what if somebody doesn't have your foot? Can they still do it?
I hope so. I have small feet. So.
Could they hire you to come and do that?
Exactly.
Fender has old volume pedals that
the swivels.
that have a swivel on it. It's kind of the same idea. It's
Yeah,
pretty,
those are
Oh.
crazy.
it's a tone
pants.
swivel, so
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you had one of those.
I still have it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah?
I don't use it.
No. Well, it's giant and crazy. Cool, man. Well, that's a solid 4 on the floor. I
Totally
think that was
solid, yeah.
maybe unexpected a little bit. I think we were all expecting you to bring like humongo noise pedals.
Oh.
You know, I think based on what you make, maybe we do that too much. We often assume, you make
What
this.
happens when you assume, Todd?
That's right.
You take things at a value that is not face value. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
We like to be surprised too.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, the stuff that I mostly play is not super extreme. My favorite bands are like Thin Lizzy and Black Sabbath and
Oh yeah. Classic stuff.
Scorpions and stuff. You know,
Right.
so I don't go too crazy with all. I stick to the classics, and that's
Nice.
There you go. Classic, yeah, kind of classic hard rock, classic metal kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
We like what we like, man.
Yeah,
That's true.
Occult Effects. Tell us how you came about that name there.
I've always sort of been interested in the occult. It's fascinating, and there's lots of spooky dark corners, and it's
Kind of like
it's
car
always-
accidents. You can't not. You're like,
So you
what
can't
is
take
you
this?
kind of
your
have to
eyes
look.
off of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like our building.
Yes, it is.
It's like a special event that you
Yeah.
can't miss.
That has always kind of attracted me. So a lot of music that I like references the occult, and
Yeah, even some of the old stuff.
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily. It's not going into like Norwegian doom or anything like that.
no. I mean, there are we were talking
Dio,
about
for Pete's sake.
yeah, we were talking about Sabbath earlier, and
Yeah.
Led Zeppelin and stuff. They were always talking about Aleister Crowley and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
the sort of mysticism, aspect of it has always been really cool to me.
And you kind of have some of that on your pedals too. I was just actually looking at the what's this one? This is
The Athame.
Athame.
Yes.
Which is what's this?
That is a boost.
It's a boost, but it's kind of like a strangely EQ'd boost. It's very
It does more than
unique.
It's got a little
and very
extra something
effective.
in there, doesn't it?
Definitely has. Tony and I both like plugged this in and we're like, whoa. This is pretty cool.
too.
And it feels a little Serpent and the Rainbow-ish to me, I'm just going to say. Which, if you haven't seen that movie, it's an older one, but it's really cool. It's about Haitian zombie powder. Sort of like voodoo markings and stuff on here.
Yeah, some symbols and
Yeah, it's kind of neato.
to creepify the whole thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
The name, like we said, the name Occult Effects, it feels like these are going to be dark doom, all over the top fuzz, like massive distortion, like everything, right?
Right.
But what we found is that it isn't necessarily the case. And you have some really great tones and some great effects going on in these things. And when you look at them, it says they look like they're named. But you don't have to have Norwegian face paint to play these. So
It helps.
I wear it when I'm building them.
you got a little King Diamond hat. That's cool.
That's okay. I wear a Mexican wrestling mask.
Do you? Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean,
You actually should wear that more often.
Thanks.
Hey. Okay. So Al, tell us a little bit about how you got started with building pedals.
okay. I mean, I suppose it's not so different from a lot of people that you guys have on the show, in that I was always really into pedals and got, bit by the bug, start buying them and opening them up and looking around in there, and you're like, oh man, there's a lot less in there than I thought a lot of the time.
I can do that.
Especially some of the old ones.
Yeah, exactly. And I was wrong in that I thought I could do it too at first. So I got a kit online. I don't even remember where I got it. It was a long time ago. And I built it, and it didn't work at all. And I threw it away, and I was like, oh, so discouraged. And then, a couple of years later, I think I must have tried a different one or something. I don't know. I was still really into it, and fascinated by the idea of putting these things together. And that probably goes back to, like being, or why the occult has kind of appealed to me, because these things are also very mysterious and, scary at times. So, that was always,
It
that
is
factored
weird
in.
because if you do open it up, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
if I don't open it up, it makes all this sound, this crazy. It makes my guitar do amazing, strange things. If I look at it, I don't know exactly. Obviously, each of these things contributes to that, but which one is contributing the most to that? And that is a fascinating part of it, especially if you look at a board for the first time. It's just like, it's kind of mesmerizing. You're like, I don't know how all these things complement each other, but
Right. And, of course, are some electrical engineers listening right now. They're like, geez, like,
Just ask me. I know everything.
But I don't know. So I ended up getting another kit and putting it together, and it mostly worked. And then I just started, it snowballed from there. You start figuring out how everything works yourself, and then building circuits and just, goes on. And now I sit in my little office and for hours on end building these things.
I think that it is worth mentioning, if you play guitar, if you have pedals, even if you are not trying to say, I'm going to start a pedal company, like, get a kit and just make a pedal. just so you can have the experience
At the appreciation for
and
what
the appreciation for some of the pedals that you really love, and like you will gain a very quick understanding of like, wow, this is really something. This is special. This is like, it's alchemy. I mean, it's not really alchemy, but it's like alchemy.
It's very satisfying too. That first time,
It is.
yeah, or actually every time. Even now, when I build something and you plug it in for the first time, and it, and you're just like, oh man, I just, it's a weird feeling, but it's a very nice feeling.
cool.
Yeah.
So when you build these, is there a lot of going back to the drawing board, or how often do you kind of nail what you want compared to going back to the drawing board a lot? Or
I almost always go back to the drawing board.
Right.
Sometimes they just catch on fire or something. Like I'll plug the power supply in.
what I've learned along the way is, failure is just a part of succeeding anyway.
Absolutely,
So-
yeah. I mean, I gave you guys a couple prototypes, or almost all of these are prototypes, and they've got some kinks that still need to be worked out in them. So
No.
yeah.
That's cool.
kidding.
So how long ago did you start making pedals? I mean, we talked about
I started doing Occult Effects about 2 years ago.
Okay.
2.5 years ago. So when I first moved out here, I wasn't in a band anymore, and I didn't know a lot. I didn't really know any people actually. So I had a lot of time, and it allowed. And I've been wanting to do this for real for a while, or not for real, but
That's for real.
well,
That's different than just building a kit. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're doing them, that's
yeah. I
real.
mean, I like to do everything from scratch.
These are you.
Yeah.
I mean, I associate these with you.
What was the first pedal that you built in your brand? Occult
It
Effects?
was the 1692. This one right here.
Okay. Tell us about that.
This is it uses 2 op amps for a lot of distortion and volume, and it's pretty simple, but
It's a straight up distortion box.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing really too crazy about it, and
Why is it called the 1792?
or
Yeah.
the 1692.
Why is it
1692.
called the 1692?
Is that a year?
1792 is coming out next week.
Yeah.
1692 was the year that the Salem witch trials. So, this pedal it's pretty fierce and it's loud, and so
I like that it's so straightforward. It's not like it does a whole bunch of stuff. It just
witch
does this
trials.
really
Yeah.
well.
yeah.
And it's a sort of a smaller MXR style
Yeah.
box.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
I
cool.
mean, I think in my notes I said it had a lot of bottom end too.
Yeah.
which is nice for a distortion pedal.
Yeah,
Because a lot of times distortion pedals tend to clip the high end stuff. This one had a lot of balls on the bottom. So that was your first one.
this was the first one. This is what sort of kicked it off for me. The other one, the next one after the 1692 that I started making was called the Murmur. That one is based off of one of my favorite pedals, and I almost put this one on the floor. It's a Russian Big Muff, black one. That thing is just a monster.
I made my first winder out of a Big Muff box. The wooden
Like the
box?
wooden ones?
The wooden box they come in with the sliding.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
My first wind. I still have it too.
Does it still work?
That is interesting.
It is.
I know. I remember seeing that.
Do you still have the Big Muff that was in there?
I never had the Big
Oh,
Muff.
just
My
the box.
buddy at the guitar store said, "Hey man, some dude bought a pedal and left the box here, so you could have this wooden box." I'm like,
Cool.
Gonna make a winder out of it. Sweet.
So I'm going to kind of jump ahead a little bit, just as far as like, we're not going to go through each one
Sure.
of the pedals in a sort of a gear review style, but I'm curious to know, after you nail your, your distortion box, right? And you're like, all right, I think I can actually do this, right? And, we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pedals in front of us, and you named off another one. So clearly you've progressed. At what point did you start to say, hey, I'm going to start creating my own circuits as opposed to just doing this is a version of another pedal?
Oh, well, that's tough. I mean, I definitely am not the pedal builder that's like reinventing the wheel. Like a lot of guys are doing some really, crazy stuff, as you guys know. But
most people are taking something that is not unlike guitars.
Sure.
It's not like there's a million new, like completely. Whoa, no one's ever seen exactly that. But everybody's putting their own fingerprint on things that are morphing and they continue to morph.
Right. I mean, yeah, everything out there is sort of based off of something else out there. And I always just sort of wanted to make stuff that I thought would sound good for me, and some people liked it. So
what kept you going through the builds? Like when you got to you finished your distortion, and you're like, you got to the murmur, which was based off of a fuzz. You started getting really creative. I want to say that I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit for some of these pedals, because I do think that there's some really interesting things going on with them. They seem at first glance, oh, I know what this is. But I can say that every single pedal that we played, I was surprised. I found something unique that I wasn't expecting in them. I'm trying to pull on that string a little bit because, actually, what is it? The pentacle. You've got a dual cascading fuzz.
yeah.
That's that's an interesting take on something.
I don't know. It's sort of the need to try new stuff and learn more about circuits and stuff. It's just, I guess these things just sort of come out of a want to explore more.
What prompted the dual fuzz there?
This one started off as something else, as an old fuzz circuit from 70s or something. Just playing around with it and tweaking it to my own by ear.
So you had a regular fuzz, and then you're like, well, what if I put another one in here?
Yeah, and that's kind of how that
something that most people.
It's like Siamese twins.
It kind of is,
and then I'm like, well, I can add another gain stage over here and sneak a tone control in there, and
right. It's interesting because it's not when we say it's a dual. Most people think that's 2 foot switches.
Right.
This is a single foot switch with 2 knobs that are controlling the gain stages.
It's so this one it's the pentacle has one gain stage or one fuzz circuit on one side, and then as you turn the knob it adds another fuzz circuit.
Right.
So it's not like there's no blending between the two. It's just one or both. And then you can go between.
And are those silicone?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Silicone, and then it's got like a classic kind of low pass filter.
Yeah. See, there you go. It's got a low pass filter on a dual gain stage fuzz. That's who I don't know how many else are out there like that. There's a lot of pedals, but I haven't played one, so that was a neat surprise. And then one of the ones that Tony and I were geeking out, and then Jared jumped in and was like, "Hey, I love that one too."
Hell yeah.
The roll right stone, and all of the T's are upside down, which is kind of fun. So this is this is another one. Again, look, this is a big box. It's got one knob. Now, there's not a lot of pedals that are coming out that it's mostly like how many knobs can you fit on something, right? This is a single knob and a single toggle, neither of which are labeled. So that's kind of fun right there, right? And then we plugged it in, and Tony, what was your experience with this?
I loved it. I mean, it reminded me an awful lot of like a Univibe, kind of a vibrato and phaser kind of combined in one. You can get some really cool tones out of it, but the depth switch, or is it the speed switch? Is it depth? It's depth.
Depth, yeah.
I mean, it totally changes the whole, all of the parameters in the pedal, and it's I think it's really useful. It's cool. My only critique was after listening to all of the other pedals that we tried out, which are pretty aggressive pedals, is this one is just like super clean. I mean, it's just like there is no grit, grime, or dirt at all, which is the right way I think to do a phaser.
Yeah.
But it after listening to all these other ones, I thought, man, well, maybe if we could just notch it up or put a trim pot on it to just give it a little bit of grime.
It's funny that you mentioned that about this exact pedal because one of my good friends he's like, hey, can you build me one of these, but with a boost in it?
Yeah,
to make it nasty and
it just gives it just a little bit. I mean, it doesn't need a lot, but it was just so. So it's like the signal going in is like the signal coming out, only with effect on it. And it's, I guess I'm used to a lot of pedals, especially old school pedals, that there is some coloring and dirt, grime, whatever you want to call it. But I think that was my favorite pedal of the bunch.
I don't regularly make these because they are honestly like kind of a pain in.
Are they really?
But
That's another reason the box is so big because the circuit is massive.
Oh.
And it just, the way I do things, it wouldn't fit in something like this or like that.
Right.
that's kind of ironic you say that because when it comes to that kind of modulation, I like a hint of it. So that's why I like that pedal too, because it wasn't totally in my face, but I could kind of turn it down and get it to where I liked it personally. But yeah, I think that one kind of stuck out for me as well.
Agreed. And in the land of, a million knobs and switches and, and tap tempos and everything, which are cool. Those things all have its place, but there was something really beautifully simplistic about this too, but didn't have the limitation of like some of the early the MXR classic boxes, which is like when you turn it on, it's just like that's all you hear.
Yep.
And this wasn't that, and I think that we all appreciated that. So well done on that, man.
Thanks, guys.
And then let's see. I think you had another one that you were working on. It was a prototype. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this one sounds like an old British amp, like turned up super loud.
Okay.
And it's kind of meant to just sound like those old classic records.
So you also have one that I thought was really interesting simply because you tend to have a habit of not labeling things, which can be fun. But it's also, to your point, when you're talking about, you named it Occult Effects and the Mysterious, it's like, obviously if you start to play with this after a while, you know what your knobs are doing. But at first approach, it's like, I have no idea what this thing's going to do. That was actually kind of fun. And the layout that you have for the switches is also really unique. I haven't seen a layout like this for the switches and knobs together. And this is called how do you say that?
The Grimoire.
Grimoire. Grimoire. So tell us about this little box of nastiness.
So this is sort of like the overdrive that I always wanted but could never find. Everyone's got like there are those classic ones, the green one.
Yeah, Tube Screamer.
Yeah.
DS9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this used to be that.
Okay.
A long time ago.
Okay.
And it's just the controls are how I always wanted them to work on that pedal.
So you got 3 knobs, 2 toggles.
Yep. The 3 knobs are your normal volume, tone, drive knobs. And then you got some clipping and then
Clipping toggle.
Yep. And then a mids toggle.
Mids toggle.
Yeah.
Now,
or I guess it's more of a presence.
okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit, it just makes it stick out a little more.
Right.
If you're pushing an amp that's already, got some crunch to it, that switch will help it get to that next.
Gotcha. What's interesting is when you start to flip the switches and you're like, wait, if I do 1 or 2, I now have, you have a ton of combinations of, possibilities here, just even with 2 toggle switches working together.
Right.
Which is, I think, kind of fun and interesting. So,
and this is something that I don't normally like get this crazy with the knobs and the switches and all the controls. Like everything else here that you see is pretty
straightforward
simple
at first glance.
Yeah.
But again, you've got some hidden surprises there. I think maybe I'm just going to touch on this last one because my bass player was like foaming at the mouth for it. That's the single knob. Again, it's a single knob fuzz. So when we got this box, we're used to getting things that have all kinds of tricks and doodads and whatnots. But this is called the Pendle fuzz, and it's one knob, and it's also kind of cool because these are all like, you know, hand stamped names and all that stuff. One knob, but with a toggle. Now, when you don't have fancy graphics all over the place and labels, it begs you to play with it. And so it's a single knob fuzz and then a toggle. So tell us about this and why this works so well with bass.
So I don't know why that works well on bass. I'm not a bass player.
Right.
I don't
I
don't know.
So when I played it in my house, I didn't play it through the bass, but I heard it and I said, I think this is going to sound amazing on bass. Partially because it didn't have the typical muffy mid kind of thing. It had more clarity, which is weird on a fuzz. And I think that was the kind of magic thing about this, is that I knew that he would plug this in and it wouldn't just sound like, oh, you've turned on a fuzz pedal. There's almost a level of, it feels like clean signal is still coming through it a little bit. I don't know if that's intentional, but that's what I picked up on.
I think part of the reason this probably works so well, or, you know, for some people on bass, is that this switch is just a bright and dark switch.
Right.
And when it's in the dark position, it, you know, that sort of works. It just works well with the bass with those lower frequencies, and it allows them to sort of come through the amp. I think with a lot of fuzzes on bass, it's just, you know, that you lose some of those.
You lose a lot of the low end on them.
Yeah. So that dark switch is to allow those lower frequencies to sort of come through.
Right.
And the way I kind of intended it was like, you know, I play darker, you know, lower down-tuned stuff, you know, and when you have that dark switch going, that really helps with that. So
nice.
Bass.
Anyway, so cool, man. Well, you got, you know, we got some other ones, but we're not going to go through like all of these here. But so moving forward, all right, you've got a handful of pedals out, probably more so than others that are even, you know, just starting out. Where are you hoping to go with this right now?
I would like to just, I realize that I have a lot of stuff going on with these. Like there's a lot of pedals out right now. I want to just focus on improving these and continue revising them. And that's kind of what I've been doing in the past few months or so, is just working on improving these. And I've also been doing like the guitar show things a lot, you know, or more and more at least. I've got a couple under my belt now. So I want to keep doing those and just keep meeting people and helping people play weird music.
Well, make sure that you keep us abreast of anything new that is coming up. And make, you know, now that you've got people interested who are hearing this are going to want to probably find out a little bit more. So we will we'll hope to hear more about your pedals moving forward.
Yes.
Cool, man. All right. Jared.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is time for your favorite segment of the show called Would You Rather?
Well, for most people, it's the interview, but go ahead.
Of course.
For Jared.
No, it is the interview. That's why we do this. So our buddy Tig Harmon, he is an executive producer.
I believe he is.
You bet.
He gave us a Would You Rather, and I'm about to read it to everybody. You're backstage, you're all ready to go. You're wearing your favorite jeans, you're wearing your favorite shirt, you've got your guitar, everything's cool. But
are your favorite jeans like rock and roll jeans?
They are super rock and roll jeans, holes all over the place, they're wore out or whatever. So you're walking on stage and you go to grab your pick and you're like, oh, fiddlesticks.
Fiddlesticks.
I wore the jeans.
Yes. Might be one of the things you say.
I wore the jeans that has the hole in the pocket, and that's a pocket I put my picks in.
Yep.
Wow. So you got no picks.
You have no picks. So would you rather would go on stage and play with no pick at all, which is your fingers, you know, fingernails or fingertips, whatever, or somebody has a pick for you to use, but it's the complete opposite of the gauge of pick that you are used to using.
That is a nightmare.
So like
That's a nightmare.
If you're used to playing with like a featherweight pick, that
Thin pick.
you have like the big heavy duty.
Yep, big giant pick.
Quarter.
Big lucite ones that are diamond tip that are $10 a piece.
Yep.
Or if you're used to a heavy pick, you have to play with a little
flimsy acoustic style.
Wow. Yeah, like the nylon. It's barely there.
Okay. Wow.
barely.
All right. Tony Bologna, what are you doing?
I think I'm going to rough it, and I'm going to do the no pick at all and just tear up my fingers till I bleed.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. Because, if you're used to a certain level of pick and you have to jump over to something else, you're going to flub it anyhow. So, yeah, I'll go for it. Plus, you get blood, if you hit the strings enough times.
Right.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Jared, what are you doing?
I'm definitely going to adapt to the opposite gauge of what I'm used to, because I've had to do that when I was younger and I would lose picks all the time. Mm-hmm. So, I like the thin pick when I was younger. I use medium now, but younger thin. So, I'd ask mom or dad for an old junky credit card to cut up, and it was a thick gauge.
They have a lot of old junky credit cards laying
Well,
around.
back in the day, that were not used anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sure.
So that's what I would,
Did you have a lot of holes in your pockets?
I had some jeans with holes in my pocket. I've got some favorite coats that still do. I have to search for my keys. It's a pain in the butt.
Oh, man. Hate that.
What are you doing?
I'm probably going to have to go with using the opposite pick as well, just because I can't
Do it without.
for the majority of my playing. I can't use my fingers.
Yeah.
I just can't. I don't have the accuracy
Yeah.
as with my fingers as I would with a pick. Even
Yeah.
if it's a floppy
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
If you're a classical player, then
Sure.
you're good to go because you grow your nails out anyway, like Paul Simon. Looks like an old
That's your go-to.
evil ogre that with
Oh, yes.
long
Paul
nails.
Simon, the
old
famous
evil-
flamenco player.
Yeah. Famous old evil
Oh,
ogre
he does.
flamenco
He's
player.
got nasty nails for picks.
Okay.
I love that guy. Anyway,
All right.
so.
Clearly.
I love you, Paul.
Man, this is really hard. I have found myself on stage, actually, either due to losing, having a pick go flying, and I haven't had them set up. At which point I started actually doing a better job of making them more accessible. And I've also had it where
Where'd you put them?
my hand would just cramp up. Because I'm just playing so long and playing really hard.
You need
right?
a pick holder, dude.
I had a pick holder, and then I started actually doing a roll of tape and putting them on the guy. But anyways, point being, both cases I had to just sit there and play with my fingers, but I'm playing slightly more aggressive stuff. But I can't get myself to the idea of playing one of those big giant lucite picks. I can't get there.
I will.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go fingers. What the heck? I'm gonna go with Tony. We're gonna
we're going to do fingers. Yeah, blood.
Yes.
Excellent.
Hey, we had half and half today. That was awesome.
No, yeah, that's interesting. Let's see here. Tony, you got some things to read off for us?
No.
Cool.
Yes, you do. It's the executive producer.
Oh, that. Oh.
Our friends.
Our friends, family,
All
Romans.
patrons are friends.
Yeah. So let's just talk about this a little bit, because at this point in the show, I, on behalf of the rest of the knobs, like to thank a certain group of people. We like to thank all of our patrons.
All of them.
And, if you're out there and you're a patron on patreon.com/the guitar knobs, thank you.
We thank you.
And when you go over to that website, check it out. If you're not already a patron, check it out, because there's some great things that you can get. You get some T-shirts and barefoot buttons and picks and stickers and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my!
And I love you.
And Jared loves you.
That's right.
That's worth something. I don't know what. But there's a certain level, and we like to call it our executive producer level.
That's right.
And this is like the top of the heap. And in addition to all those great things that you get, and the warm feeling you get from sponsoring a podcast like the Guitar Knobs, specifically the Guitar Knobs, Jared, what happens?
Well, like right now, you get to have your name read on the thing.
And that's what I'm going to do right now.
Surf.
So I'm going to go. Let's welcome on board Tim Novak.
Let's do it.
Woohoo!
Tim is our newest executive producer.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Tim.
Tim, thank you.
It's a good dude.
Let's go back to John Esterly, Chris Heidel, Tig Harmon, who provided a lovely Would You Rather? Tyler Bray, John Anglin, Anthony Lanthrop, Jonathan. Nope, it's not Jonathan. It's Johnny. Johnny amongst us. Johnny Knowles, Stefan Lamb, Rick Langlu, Michael McVeigh, Michael Sanchuk, Brian Robison, Jonathan Jerusik, Ken Sayers, Corey Nigro, Brad Partridge, Michael Van Zant, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, Chris Kearney, Sean S. John Daly, Martin Cliff, and our original Tom Berezin.
That is right. Thank you guys so very much. You are truly keeping the lights on. Al can attest. We actually have a studio, and the lights are actually
They
on.
are indeed on.
Are they
and
on?
We also have some,
I need
some
verbal
visitors
verification.
up there, but
There are a couple of roaches.
Been there for a couple of years.
They were there. Yeah,
Before
I think they
us.
were there when we got here. But anyways,
yes.
We wouldn't be able to see them if the lights weren't on.
that is true. Good point. That's verification.
Nice.
So you
Lights
are all
are
helping
definitely
this
on.
to happen. So yes, let's see here. Al, where can people find your gear?
The best place is on Instagram at occult.effects.
Okay.
And I also have a reverb shop,
Okay.
reverb.com/shop/occult effects.
Great. And if people want a little something special, they can just DM you there.
Yep. The best place is through Instagram. Shoot me a message. Yeah.
Solid. All right. So go check that out. See what he's building. And if you got any special requests for him, hit him up. I bet you he'll make it. Tony,
no. Yes.
where can people find you?
Oh, where can they find me? They can go over to pickguardian.com and take a look at some of the things that I do. There's some things you can order there, but by and large, what I do is pretty well custom stuff. So best to contact me, send me an email. You can contact me through Instagram as well at pickguardian and the number 1. There's some things on Facebook too. But just let me know what you need. I'll fix you up.
Hey, man, he makes it fit, and it looks good, too.
That's true. That's true.
many
Lots of
pick guardians.
And
custom
the
stuff.
ladies like it too.
Yes.
There you
Jared.
You can find me BrandonWildPickups.com. I've got some really cool products. If you need some old-looking new pickups for your project, or you need whatever, just give me a shout, Jared at BrandonWildPickups.com.
Great sounding pickups. We
They
can
are
attest to
definitely,
that.
yes.
Thank you.
You can.
Instagram and Facebook, whatever.
That's right. Send them all the stuff. You can email me, Todd at theguitarknobs.com, or you can DM me on our Instagram account at guitarknobs, and that is where you will find all of our updates and whatnots. Please send us your Would You Rathers. We love getting those. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Al, for swinging by our studio
Thanks,
here
Al.
and bringing us all these cool Occult Effects pedals.
Thank you guys for having me.
And I
really
encourage
appreciate
people to give these a shot. They sound good. They're priced to sell. Everybody have a great guitar week and subscribe.
Can you take me higher?
Hey yo.
Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm up in first class on a plane. That's right. I knew it.
Yeah.
Should we close the door?
Yeah, we can close the door.
All right, let's close the door.
Hordor. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go get something to eat.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.